All right. Welcome to the 40, where you're sporty and ready to hang with Rick and Morty, galactic conquering, pouring tea for the key of episode 4D. That's what I'm
Oh
talking about.
shit. Oh shit,
What's
Mason. Oh
up? How's it
shit.
going, Adam? How you
What's up,
doing?
my man? I'm doing great. We've if you haven't guessed it, Mason is aspiring to be an up and coming rapper in the Charlotte area. So if you're around that area and you're looking to hear some good rap music, Mason's your guy.
Come out and play. Hashtag. Gosh, love
No,
it.
Mason's not he's not going anywhere, but we are back, episode 40, and it's all about the 40. And Mason's already taken a sip of his. We've already started. We're drinking 40s tonight for episode 40. We're both drinking 40s of High Life. And we're going to talk about the history of 40s, our experience drinking 40s, and we cannot finish this podcast until both of these 40s are gone. So
It'll be gone quick.
we've started already because, if not,
We'll get thirsty.
yeah, we got thirsty while we were talking about the podcast. So, yeah, how much did your 40 cost in North Carolina?
247 or something like that. 270 something. How
Yeah,
would yours?
mine was after tax. It was like 325 or something like that,
Wow.
which is unreal.
Yeah, honestly, you just go get one of these and you're good to go for the whole night long.
Yeah,
Maybe two.
yeah, and it's honestly a great deal. And there's a bar that I used to go to in Chicago, and they would have trivia on like Thursdays or something like that, and they would do $5 40s of High Life and trivia, and it was just unreal.
Yeah,
Such a
that would
great
get you
time.
lit. Yep. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah. So, before we get into our experience drinking 40s, like I said, can't finish this podcast until both these 40s are gone. So we've got some work to do. Probably a lot of burping will be done during this podcast because
I'm already
it's a
feeling
lot of
it.
beer.
Yeah.
A lot of beer. I almost bought actual malt liquor, but I was like, that's a hell of a commitment for a podcast, and yeah, and it's also higher in alcohol than High Life, so I still have like some work to do after this. So
Need to be
you know,
somewhat coherent.
yeah, and I mean, because this is basically say 3 beers, a little over 3 beers, so it's not like too crazy, but again,
Still
we'll
good
talk
amount.
about, yeah, it's still a good amount. So, jumping into 40s, the chat about 40s, which I really didn't think we'd ever do a podcast on this, but I was doing some thinking last night after a whole bottle of wine with dinner, and I was like, I was like, what episode are we on? Oh, we're on 40, and I was like, wouldn't it be fucking funny to do a podcast on 40s? And
40s on the 40th.
40s on the 40, because I feel like it's the only time for us to do a podcast about 40s during episode 40. So yeah, but traditional 40s are malt liquor. I think not until maybe recently they actually started doing it. Well, like breweries started actually just putting like High Life in 40s and Bud Light and stuff like that. But malt liquor is essentially a strong beer that has been made stronger using sugar or corn to boost the alcohol percentage in the spirit. So traditionally they're 5.6 to 8.2% alcohol or ABV, so it's not quite as high proof as a spirit. Excuse me, but they are stronger than your traditional beer. And I know some beer, like especially if you get into double IPAs and imperial IPAs, like those can be crazy high alcohol percentages, like what, probably
9,
12%.
12, 13 sometimes.
I feel like
Depends
I've
on
seen,
what kind of, place does it and what style and how much sugar they have in the batch beforehand that how they allow to turn into alcohol. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I've had a couple of really high percentage IPAs specifically that I just like thought were really delicious, but also like you bought the largest one and it was a 6 ounce pour, so a little short one, and you're like, what? And then you drink and you're like, oh yes, I
Yeah.
get you, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, so 40s originally were invented or came to light in the 1930s during the Great Depression because beer brewers, didn't have enough malt to make beer. So they essentially used corn and sugar, which was easily available and cheap, to essentially strengthen their beer. Mason, you know what some like popular 40 brands are? Some of those big dogs in the malt liquor game.
Yeah, Mickey's, Colt 45, now High Life as well. You can never forget about that. Ida's High Gravity, Old English. I'm pretty sure Bud Light. I'm pretty sure Yingling. I'm pretty sure uh, every kind of large. I've seen Corona. Honestly, I
That's
can't.
true.
There's like almost every kind of big name producer right now making 40s that are just absolutely delicious. And you till I got this today, I forgot how much bang for the buck you really get.
Yeah. And question for you, if you ever were to buy a Corona 40, how many limes would you put in that bitch?
Well, if my standard Corona is one lime or one segment of a lime, then it would be half a lime probably for that 40 Corona.
I feel like I
But
would just cut the lime in half and juice that whole fucking thing in there.
yeah, but I'm a big lime guy, so I'd
Yeah.
probably do a lot. I'd probably take a good swig and
Yeah. Um,
uh,
man,
what
that
about
is.
you? You eat the whole lime?
I would probably do the whole lime, and I'm not a lime and beer guy, but I also don't really like Corona all that much, so I would probably just say fuck it and just add the whole lime.
Time and a place. I would hope for Modelo 40. That's what I would really want to drink.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably make a 40 of Modelo too.
I'm sure they do. I unfortunately went to a convenience store that only had Miller High Life, Bud Light, and Colt 45, but they had a whole dedicated section to it that was like a lot. It was like, you go to a counter, go to the fridge where it's got 3, 4 rows. Well, there was four, 3, 4 rows dedicated, or 3, 4 columns dedicated to
Hmm.
each one, and 5 or 6 rows dedicated to
Damn,
each one. So it was just like a lot.
whole wall of 40s.
A whole wall for it. So like, you guys sell this many 40s? Damn. You need to have this much space for it? Yeah, they do.
I don't
That's
know.
how much space they needed.
Yeah, I mean they do take. I mean they're big. They are big bottles. So like your traditional wine bottle is 25.3 ounces, and these are 40s. So they're a little bit more than one and a half like wine bottle size or your standard spirit bottle size. So I mean it is a big bottle, and
Yeah.
it is glass, which is nice. And I will say High Life out of a 40 tastes just as good as a High Life in a normal 12-ounce bottle. So
Yeah.
they're not messing around with it.
Serving size is 12 fluid ounces, y'all. So, you know,
Yep.
36, you got an extra 6 on top of it, a little halfer on there for you. You're good to go.
Yep.
Excuse me, 4. Bad math. Already drinking.
But yeah, so 40s kind of became really like mainstream and popular in the 90s and the 2000s with rap culture. Basically, malt liquor and 40s are cheap, as we've already said. They're $2, and you got to think in the 90s and the 2000s, they were probably like
A
under that. They were
dollar.
probably like 75 cents or some shit.
Yeah.
So you got to think like something that's say 8% alcohol and it costs you $1. I mean, you're going to get a lot of people in lower income places that are going to be drinking it. And the rap culture, rappers in the 90s and the 2000s kind of started rapping about drinking 40s, putting them in brown paper bags. Um, they rappers like Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Afro Man, Easy E, who's part of NWA, are really known for their shout outs of, Old English and Colt 45. And eventually the rap culture kind of got out of singing about 40s and drinking 40s, and they got more into luxury brands, like Cristal, Ace of Spades, high end tequilas, 1942, stuff like that. And now I feel like 40s are not really like big. A lot of people don't rap about 40s nowadays. One of my favorite rap groups still does, but they're kind of in their older music. So,
Who's that?
but Flatbush Zombies,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
What? I love it. I love it.
yeah. So, and now honestly, like after drinking this, because if you're already going to drink 3 beers, you might as well just buy a 40. The only bad thing that I could see is it could get warm. If you're not like pounding it,
I think you need like
unless
an ice cooler or
yeah,
get
like
like
a
a
champagne bucket.
koozie, champagne bucket, koozie, hey, champagne of beers. You need a champagne bucket for your champagne. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need to create a large format koozie specifically for this
I'm
to
sure
hug
there's
it.
already one.
Yeah, the water bottle koozies that keep it
Hmm.
nice and cold. There you go. That's the answer. We just found it.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like maybe it would be easier to do that high life challenge if we were drinking them out of 40s. Like if you're going more for like the total ounce, instead of just saying like I need to drink 20 high lifes, just drinking like
Five.
like 6 40s. Ooh, maybe not. That still
let's
sounds pretty
get
bad.
let's get a carry case of 40s going on.
It'd be
Excuse me.
more like economical though. You could fit six
More.
40s in your backpack, but you probably couldn't fit 40 beers in your backpack.
Mm, how big is my backpack?
It's true. That's true.
uh, how
That's
many of
very
those
true.
cans are empty? you
Yeah,
never know. It goes back and forth.
I know.
Um, did you know, Adam, that most 40s are legal in most states, but there might be one out there?
What's that one?
That one is Florida,
Really?
which I didn't know until we started doing this research. And I'm surprised, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like,
yeah.
Florida is a state where I feel like, you get the newspaper article, Florida man, and then
Hmm.
insert anything here, and it has happened there. In which I feel like this would be something that would be okay.
Yeah, and I feel like you know, there's a lot of stuff in the media, like especially the politics media, which we're not going to get into. This is not a politics podcast, but there's a lot of stuff about Florida right now that I'm like, really, like this is going on in your state, but you can't have a fucking 40. Like that's just bonkers to me. But um, what are you gonna do? Florida, get it
Um,
together.
yeah. Maybe, if we're going to theorize here for about specifically Florida not allowing 40s to be legal, which, as we're talking now, laws could be changing. They could already implement it. Who knows?
That's
But
true.
if it's still illegal and it is going to continue to be illegal, I could say that it's because of partiers, specifically for those spring breakers, summer breaks, whatever. If
Hmm.
all those people on the beach, I could see them going like, you know what? Let's just force them to carry more weight out there, and if they have to carry more weight, they'll drink less.
But I get where you're coming from there, Mace, but I also feel like if you're on spring break and you're at the beach, like most people, especially if you're underage or like, just turned 21, you're bringing a bottle of booze with you. You're not you're not bringing a 40 a beer.
You got $1, you got $2 in your pocket, you can get
That's yeah, good
you can
point.
get that 40, but you can't get that.
Good point. See?
I
That's
don't know.
that's why that's why you're here. You're here to check me.
We go
Check and
back and
mate.
forth. You never know. Debates.
Debates, yeah.
Checkmate. Done.
Check.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I will say I feel like now most 40s that are sold are probably sold as beer and not malt liquor. Just because, like, I mean,
It's
I'm
hard to
not gonna
drink
go.
malt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like go and buy malt liquor personally. I mean, there's probably people out there. There's obviously people out there that still drink it,
Right.
but not me. Um, maybe we should have for this podcast. I feel like the 40s of High Life, yes, they're on brand, but I feel like it was predictable. Like if we would have like rolled up with Old English,
People would be like, "What the fuck?"
yeah, yeah, we dropped the ball. Maybe for episode 140, we can do,
Or 80.
yeah, episode 80.
Speaking of 80,
Yeah, two
have
is
you ever
better than
played?
one.
Have you ever played? You know what I'm
Played
talking
what?
about? You know what I'm talking about?
Played what? No, tell me.
Yeah, this one, and then there's one in this hand,
Oh,
and
there's
then
two 40s and taped to your hands.
and then you know tape them up and tie them hardcore, and then you're stuck with them. Can't do anything until what happens? You finish them, and somebody
Gulp one
decides to
down,
release you.
gulp the other one down.
Could you
Um,
imagine chugging this? That's seven. Wait, that's 7 beers that you're chugging. Wait, yes,
yeah, pretty
7
much.
beers
Yeah,
that you're chugging.
actually more than that because this is uh 16, no, 12, 13. Yeah,
Uh,
it's 6 and almost 7 beers.
4 ounces shy,
Yeah,
but
that'd be tough.
yeah, Edward 40 hands, crazy. Not something I would recommend anybody really
No,
playing ever. It is not a fun game. You do not feel good afterwards, and you
no,
always seem to choose the worst type of beer to do it with.
or not beer to do it with.
Not beer. Not beer.
Um, yeah, I've played once.
All right.
It was in college, and I was freshly 21 for this adventure because I remember going into the liquor store and buying the beverage of choice that would be taped to my hands that night, and it was 2 bottles of rosé. One was sparkling and one was not sparkling, still rosé. I don't remember the brand, but
And never will.
it was cheap rosé, like probably under $10 a bottle. And yeah, me and one of our other buddies did it together. I think we both had the same wines, and it ended very badly for both of us. I
I
think I
remember this so
finished.
much.
I finished. So, and for the record, like, yeah, they were smaller than 40s, but wine is also 12-ish%. We'll say 12 and a half, 12%.
Let's go.
So you're
Yeah,
looking
that's
at
fair.
smaller quantity of alcohol or smaller quantity of uh,
Liquid.
liquid that you're drinking, but higher alcohol percentage. And also the sugar in wine, especially when it's inexpensive wine, much higher. And then you throw the bubbles from the sparkling wine on top of it, and bubbles also like already give you like kind of a head drunk type
Right.
feeling. So I finished one of them, and I was going back and forth. I finished one of them, and then I think I got to over half of the second one gone, and that's all I remember. And woke up on our other buddy's floor, dorm room floor, who lived on what, the second or third floor?
Second floor.
Yep, don't remember getting up there.
Yeah,
And
I remember getting you up there.
yep, that's where Mason will fill you in on the rest of the story because your
Oh.
boy does not remember.
Uh,
However, you guys are good friends because when I woke up, I did not have the 40s still taped to my hands.
no, no, you did not.
So
And you also
you
didn't
guys are
have
good.
the
You guys are
before
great
picture.
friends. I mean, you guys still would have been good friends even if you would have leave the 40s taped to my hands because like I survived and I was safe. But even better friends actually like me not waking up with 240s still taped to my hands or 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah. Well, I think I had either a meeting or I was working beforehand and was gonna join Adam in the group doing Edward 40 hands, rose hands after. And unfortunately, whatever what it was that I was doing ran later than expected. So they have all, of course, started without me. And then I decided afterwards, text him, and I'm like getting sporadic text messages. I'm probably somebody's texting for him, which is what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I go, okay, whatever. I find the location in which the party was happening. I get there and I go, "Where's Adam?" I walk around, chatting with some people, and they go, "Yeah, he's gone." I'm like, "What do you mean he's gone?" Yeah, he and the buddies were playing Edward Rose hands, and he didn't last. And I said, "Oh, okay. You know where they went?" And they're like, "No." So I asked around a few other places, and I was like, "Okay, this is probably where he's at." I found him at our other buddy's place, in his dorm room, whatever the apartment places that it's called. And I knock on the door, and nobody answers. Lights are out. Nobody answers. Whatever. I hang out there for a second, and then nothing happens. I knock on the door, and nobody answers again. And I go, I know they're in there because I was told that they were in there, but they're not answering for some reason. So I go, whatever. I start walking away, and Kyle, who's our other friend, saw that it was I and opened the door and came out and was like, "Mason, oh, it's so good to see you." And I was like, "Oh, how bad is it?" And he's like, "It's bad." So we get inside, and Adam's just out like a light. It's great. And we carry him, and he's just like, "We gotta get him back to my place." And I said, "That sounds good. How far is it?" It's a 250 yard walk. I was like, "Wonderful. Here we go." And so the two of us, literally dead weight, carrying him side by side, making sure campus security doesn't catch us, rushing over to his dorm room. Then we get inside. He was just like, kind of like semi in, semi awake, and then nothing, just out. And we're carrying dead weight, and we got to get him up the stairs. So get him up the stairs, and we get him in a nice little spot, clean him up a little bit, and then I hit the road.
Thankfully, thankfully, I weighed about 50 pounds lighter than I do now, though.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
thankfully, I
was,
was 100% stronger than I am now.
yeah, yeah. It was like the peak,
Uh,
and I probably should have because I know my mom is going to listen to this podcast, and I probably should have done like if it's you, mom, listening to this, skip till 23 minutes and 23 seconds. But I forgot to do that, so it is what it is. But yeah, it definitely was not great. Not one of my proudest moments. I do still have a photo of me and Michael, our other friend who did it together, and a before photo. And maybe I'll post it. Probably not. Because actually, no, because I don't think Michael was 21 then. Maybe I'll post it for the content.
yeah, maybe crop them out.
What about you, Mason? What's your Edward 40 hand story?
I've only done it once myself, and it's not a cool tale. Like, it wasn't something like spectacular. Nothing really fun happened with mine. I didn't get super fucked in which I just was unfunctionable, but I did get super fucked in which I was no longer coherent. The only time I remember blacking out. Of course, you never remember blacking out, but the only time I remember blacking out.
What about the Jello shot night? No.
You're right about that one. That one,
you
that was a.
you
I
didn't
forgot about
black
that
out
one.
that night.
No, see, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I
we got both sides of the story here.
That my Edward 40 hands was your like payback
Jello.
to my Jello shot, helping you with your Jello shots.
Yeah,
I mean, we
definitely.
helped each other out in college. I mean,
Always.
we were roommates for fuck like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So, and we basically, I mean, pretty much we partied together the whole time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were both there at each other's high points and rock bottom low points. When did you do Edward Forty Hands? Was it at school or when was it?
Nah, I was underage and
Mm.
I was at a party with my brother. A
Like a high
little
school
fun
party?
time. I was in high school and he was in college, and I went up to visit for a long weekend and had a great time. And all I remember is starting with the cheers with myself and whoever else was joining me. It was like the younglings of the group, I guess, is the best way
Mm.
to describe it. And then I remember waking up in the bed. And I was like, I had no idea what happened.
Yeah.
And, that's my whole story, which is just sad because that's all I remember. Started off drinking, have a good time, and then all of a sudden, it's gone. No
Yeah.
more information.
Yeah. Moral of the story: drink responsibly. Don't be like us, or don't be like how we used to be. We're not like that anymore. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because like I don't remember
Ew.
anything, and then I was super confused when I woke up on the ground in his room. Like they
Yeah.
had made me like a little fucking cocoon that I was sleeping in. But like I woke up and I'm like, what the where the heck am I? And Kyle is still sleeping. And I like look up and I'm like, why am I in your room? And he's like, oh, do I have a story for you? And I was like, oh God. I
What
mean,
happened?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, I
That was
love it.
rough.
It is. I will never play Edward Forty Hands ever again. It's not worth it anymore.
No. When I feel like now, something I've come to realize, like I turned 27 last week, and I'm
Happy
slowly like,
belated.
thank you. But even like before turning 27, it's not like your life magically changes when you have a birthday, right? Like your body starts to like slowly like tell you that you're getting older, and not that 27's old by any means, but I don't think I could drink that much liquid. Like, I might drink that much water in a day, but
Right.
like I don't think I could drink that much something that's not water in a day. I mean, it's a lot just from a quantity standpoint. And then not to mention how I would feel the next day,
Yeah. No,
like,
I
ugh,
think going out and having, a couple of drinks here and there, and then feeling like shit the next day almost happens every time now. You're
yep,
like, why? Why? Why is this happening? Why am
yeah.
I getting old and I can't metabolize all of this
We,
food, all this drink?
and it's annoying too, because like, you know, I'll drink and like I'll feel fine the night of, like I won't even be drunk, and the next morning I'll wake up and I'll be like, fuck, like just so hungover. And I mean, I know why I don't drink water, so like that's why I'm hungover. But it's like, you know maybe it's not me getting old, maybe it's just me being like a fucking delinquent and not drinking any water. Here, I'm drinking water now.
Hey, I gotta disagree with that statement. I've built a very good habit of drinking a lot of water when I'm drinking. Like almost more water than alcohol after the first couple of cocktails
Hmm.
or drinks. And then after that, it's on like I normally try to do the 1-to-1 ratio. One drink, one glass of water, one drink, one glass of water. But once I have a few drinks in me, it's normally like two, three glasses of water and one drink. Two, three glasses of water and one drink. And trust me, when you break that seal, that's the worst.
Yep. Game over.
Game over.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's terrible. But but then there's sometimes where I'll be in a social setting and I'll drink a bunch and I won't be drunk, and then I'll be like, wake up the next morning, I'll be completely fine. So like, I don't understand why my body sometimes is like, yep, you're hungover today, and then some days is like, nope, you're fine. It's so frustrating, but it's only
Yeah,
downhill from here.
it's only downhill from here,
Only a couple more
or
years till 30.
uphill and downhill and
Yeah,
downhill and uphill.
peaks and valleys, right?
Peaks and valleys is right.
Mm.
Ah,
Also, in other words, an
yeah.
update from last podcast that we had. So
Hmm.
now we're out of topics for this until we finish our 40s. So now we're just Mason and I are just gonna shoot the shit, and you
Yeah,
can kind of get
we're gonna have a
a
great time.
feel for, you can just get a feel for like how we are and like how we interact, which will either be great or bad content. I'm not sure.
Oh,
But
great. What's that?
all like a update from last podcast because we talked about mixers, so tonic, ginger beer, and bitters.
Yeah,
I am a tequila tonic drinker now.
really.
Yes,
All right.
soda
Imagine
water
how it passed.
step aside. I drink tequila tonics now with or
Shit.
without lime. I don't even
You don't
need the
need it.
lime.
Yeah,
And
right
I mean,
on.
it's
What?
good with the lime, but I don't need it because a lot of the times I'm too lazy to even cut a lime. Like I'm just
Hmm.
like tonic water, tequila, ice, and that's it. But I went to a wedding this past weekend, and I was only drinking beer and tequila tonics,
Right on.
and it was even really not good tequila. There's Jose Cuervo Gold, which couldn't even tell you the last time I've had Jose
Woo.
Cuervo Gold. Like, ish.
At
But
that wedding.
even Jose Cuervo with tonic was not bad. Would I go out and buy
So,
it? No, but it
what
wasn't
was
bad.
your what was your defining moment? You were just like, you know what? I like this. I
So
like it a lot.
after the podcast, I was in Total Wine. I was buying so every year for my birthday I buy a birth year wine. So I buy a wine from 1996. So I was in Total Wine and I found a 1996 Brunello de Montalcino, which I opened the day before my birthday because Olivia and I went out for dinner. And I was in there and I was like, it was a couple days after we had recorded the podcast. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just buy some Fever Tree tonic. Like, I'll buy a little 4 pack. If I don't like it, it's maybe $8. That's whatever. And so I started drinking it, and the first one I was like, oof, like if I still drank it because I'm an absolute fucking booze hound, so I still drank it, but I was like, okay, not my favorite. Next day I was like,
Yeah,
like let's try it again. And I was like,
maybe
it's
not.
not that bad. And then now I'm like, I go to the
Yes.
bar, tequila tonic, please.
You're like,
Yeah.
what? Mm,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. If you would have told me that 3 weeks ago, I would have been like, you're crazy.
Never.
Absolutely not. And now
You're all for it.
I'm all for it. I still don't think I'd really go for a gin and tonic because I think that would be too much like botanical like bitterness. But
Yeah.
it does complement the like the agave flavor in tequila.
Yeah. I'm glad you found something that you really enjoy as well. Like, our podcasts are doing something good for our lives.
Yeah,
it's really it's exciting. It's delicious. I love exploring different drinks and trying new things, and I think this is one format that has helped us expand and
yeah,
try new things.
yeah. I'm thinking Mason maybe for the next podcast, uh, maybe we do the opposite of 40s. Maybe we do like a high end wine podcast.
Yeah, I'm down.
So we'll
I
do
think
like
that could be fun.
a high end wine review type podcast and talk about like fine wine and all that kind of jazz. Could be
I think
fun.
that I think that'd be a good idea. We can talk about our life from wine to now, and
Yeah.
then and talk about how much wine, is consumed in the world and
Yeah,
what our favorite how do and how what.
and how we're aging like fine wine.
Oh yes, must. You have to age. You need to preserve yourself for life, so have a drink. Oh, that's what it's all about. Having a drink to preserve yourself for life.
Yeah,
Quote right there.
I will say the 96 Brunello held up beautifully though.
Yeah.
It was really good.
How many birth wines do you think you've had since you started that tradition now?
Um, I've probably had
Not including the ones that you chose to drink off peak, off birthday.
like actually like on my birthday,
No, no, no. Just birth year wines.
but like it could be a birth year wine that I drank like in November.
Right. Or whenever
Excuse
just
me.
somebody opened up a 96 and you're like, oh shit, that's my birth year. And you go, that's cool.
I've probably so the first time I ever had a birth year wine, which kind of sparked this whole fucking being a delinquent with my money. Um, I was working in a place in Chicago, and one of the vintage wines that we were pouring was a '96, and my boss blind tasted me after a long day, and I was like, "Wow, like old wine's really cool." Now it was when I was studying for my level one, so that was like the first time I had it, and I've probably had 15 or 20 birth year wines,
That's pretty
probably.
good. That's a
If I
lot
had
better than
to
me.
if I had to guess. What about you, Mason?
I think I've had like 4 or 5,
Mm.
if I'm gonna guess. And the only one that like truly like stands out, like you're just like maybe two. I can't even remember what the bottle is, but I'm pretty sure we had my birth year wine at the Modern which was a restaurant in New York for my
Hmm.
birthday. I think it was either 24th birthday or 25th birthday. I don't remember. I remember being with Alex at the Modern. It was a great time. We had a full on meal, and we chose that. But the one that like really stands out, uh, I was in Napa for our wine semester where I met my wife, and uh, my roommate at the time, we were living in like a house off campus that had like all of like that was supplied by the campus, which was weird. But was living on that in the house, and my roommate decided to buy a couple of wines, one being a 95, not realizing that was my birth year. He just like loved the wine himself and wanted to test us all on the wines, and we did
Hell
blind
yeah.
tastings and whatnot. And I had been doing a deep dive research on Camus specifically, and had tried a lot of different Camuses at that time, and nailed it on the head. I was like, this is a 95 Camus. And he was just like, how did you get that?
That's
Everybody was
pretty fucking
shocked.
dope.
I was like, oh, ah! Like when you nail a wine when you're blind tasting right on the head, you're like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Woo, woo,
that's pretty sick.
woo. Oh gosh. And I
Yeah,
still
that's
have the little cap that says the year on it and everything.
hell yeah. Yeah, birth year
Um,
wines are cool. And I feel like it's going to get to the point though, like pretty soon where they're not going to be like good anymore.
check
Uh
level.
check level. We're probably about even
All right, let's finish it.
ish.
Let's do this. Ready? Cheers. Ching. Empty. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Not really, but I'm sorry. Refreshing.
Whew. The last little bit was a little warm, but
Yeah, that's why we had to finish it. I felt it coming through.
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys heard a little bit about what the next podcast is going to be about, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. But yeah, this was you ready to wrap it up? Oh fuck, what's our question of the day, Mace?
Oh shit! The question of the day is: if you have played Edward Forty Hands, what was the beer of choice, and which beer do you really wish it was?
Yeah. Or second question of the day
Ooh,
is what advice would you give someone who is playing Edward Forty Hands for the first time?
ooh, I like
Probably,
that question better.
probably
Just
don't do
delete
it.
my question, and we'll just go with that one. I like that one a lot better.
So, what advice would you give someone who's playing Edward Forty Hands for the first time?
The
What
advice
advice?
I would give somebody is slow roll. Just take it slow. You'll get through it. Don't crush it all out at the same time.
So, like tortoise in the hare, be the tortoise.
Be the tortoise. Be
Yeah,
the
that's
tortoise.
smart. That's smart.
What about you?
I would say have someone follow you around. Yeah. I would say have someone
No.
follow you around with one of those like football Gatorade water bottles that they can just squeeze into your mouth.
Mm,
So you're still drinking
yes.
water because obviously you can't really pick up you can't pick up
Mm,
anything. You can't pick up a water bottle. I mean, if you had
a
a water bottle,
camelback.
yeah,
A
or but
camelback.
if you had a water bottle like this, you could drink out of it, right?
Yeah. Get a camelback. You'll be good.
So have a 40-ounce water bottle, which is this,
Mm,
and drink water during it.
I
That would be
like it.
my advice. Or don't do it. Those would be my
Just don't
two.
do it. Just
But
don't
if
do it.
they're already about to do it, then you can't convince them to not do it. Actually, do it because then you'll have a story to tell.
Take it slow.
Yeah.
Wear a
Take it
camelback.
slow, drink some water, wear a camelback filled with beer.
You'll be okay. Fill it with beer. And then you'll
Yeah.
not be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibility. Don't do what Mason and I have done in the past. Be better people than we are. You ready to wrap this son of a bitch up?
Yeah. Goodbye to the 40 because we're no longer sporty and ready to hang with Rick and Morty. Galactic Conquering, pouring tea for the key of episode 40. All right. That's what I'm talking about. You subscribe, smash that button, follow us wherever you go on podcasts. You know what I'm talking about, Adam. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Let's
Yeah.
crush out this night.
Enough said.